Why is it that choosing between two things,
1, 2, 1, 2.
even when they're both good things,
Here's one again.
can be so intimidating, especially when it comes to rebranding? As someone who's guided hundreds of professionals through the rebranding process, I'm about to share 5 secrets for making more confident rebranding decisions and streamlining your process. But first, why is it so hard sometimes to make decisions during the rebranding process? Well, I think there are 3 big reasons. First, we all understand a lot is riding on these decisions, and we're under a lot of pressure. Rebranding has a massive influence over the visuals and reputation of our firms, often for years and even for decades to come. One little decision can have a huge impact. So as marketers or firm leaders in charge of a rebrand, even if you're just part of the committee, it can be a lot of pressure. I get it. Second, if we haven't set parameters for success, once we do arrive somewhere, how can we be sure to gauge if we got it right or not?
When will then be now? Soon.
Having no clear definition of success is a surefire way to fail in this process. In my book, Bold Brand 2.0, I talk about the 4 kinds of rebrands and how to choose your goals and objectives. I'll drop a link to the Amazon and Audible versions below. And the third reason making rebranding decisions is especially tough in AEC firms is because there are multiple partners, stakeholders, and voices to satisfy. And at scale, you're never going to get everyone to agree to the same thing. The key is how you set up the expectations of your firm for who gets a vote and when. More on that in a second. So with all of that pressure, no roadmap for success, and so many voices, it's a wonder we're ever able to make any decisions. And like we talked in this video, fear can be a powerful asset as long as you don't let it completely derail the process. But assuming you understand how to wield that fear properly, here are 5 secrets to help you streamline your decision making. One of the most hectic elements for rebranding a firm of any significant size is wrangling who gets a vote and who's allowed input and who is uninvited. From an internal culture perspective, this is truly one of the make or break elements of the process, and I don't think I can overemphasize this enough. So here's my suggestion. First, limit ultimately who has a vote in the process. The smaller the group, the better. 1 to 3 decision makers is ideal. Second, identify who should have input in the decision and source their opinions at the beginning of the process. And let's be clear, they do not get a vote or approval power later on unless they're part of the 1 to 3 person committee. And my special rule, if they don't have time to weigh in at the beginning of the process, we don't want to hear from them at the end.
4-day weekend.
And lastly, so long as your branding project isn't totally top secret, find ways to source opinions from the entire firm either at the beginning or midway points throughout the process. They aren't voting on their favorite logos or colors. Rather, these are opportunities for you to test your assumptions. One of my favorite surveys is sharing a list of brand values with the company and having them rank order and then add to the list anything they feel is really missing. It's an eye-opening process. On a related note, your internal audience really is number 1. Be sure you're letting the entire firm know throughout the process why this is happening and update them with progress. In my experience, your firm does not want to be blindsided by a rebrand. Like we already talked, rebranding projects are already prone to failure, especially if you haven't identified what success should look like. So what are your goals for your rebrand? Are you repositioning the firm for the future? Trying to maybe ditch an unfavorable reputation? Or simply updating your brand with a modernizing refresh? And how will you know if it worked? Are you measuring more RFPs, more job applicants, or are you more focused on your intended new look and feel? Ultimately, you'll need to decide early on in the process what's most important for the new brand to get it right. As you move through the process, agreeing to descriptive elements of the brand like brand values can help give you a better sense of how the brand should come together later in the process visually. If you're finding value in these rebranding tips, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single rebranding tip.
That's all you had to say.
Not sure about you, but I love to cook, and I can't think of a single thing that would work if I didn't generally follow the process step by step. My brand strategy process is called Drive, which involves significant work on the strategy up front. Upon completion of this part of the process, my clients have a complete Drive deck before we ever start creating any visual elements of the brand. When the visual direction is based on the strategy first, it's so much easier to agree if the proposed designs feel like the right fit.
Why doesn't mine look like that? Ah!
Speaking of process, agree at the start of the project what your rules of decision making are going to be. One of my favorites is the no U-turns rule that my former clients at iDebris, now Salas O'Brien, implemented. It meant once they decided on a name and we moved on to a logo design, they all agreed not to revisit second thoughts about the name. And once the logo was a lock and we were on to the brand colors, they wouldn't go back and monkey with the font or the logo design. It was an invaluable way to make sure that everyone was committed to moving forward. Now there's one final secret for streamlining your decision-making process for rebranding. But before we do that, if you've made it this far, you're either thinking about hiring someone like me to help you with your rebrand, or you're considering doing the work in-house. I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. I'm launching an exclusive Branding 101 course to teach you everything I know about rebranding in the AEC industry. If you'd like to see if you're a fit, hit the link in the comments below and schedule a free discovery call. It's not a fit for everyone, but find a time and we'll see if you qualify. I love helping clients visualize where their existing identity falls along a full rainbow color spectrum and dropping all their competitors' logos in on the same slide. It's a really interesting way to see what colors are most used or overused in that space, and perhaps where there are opportunities to stand out with a color or a shade that is underutilized. This helps firms agree what colors we should avoid and what colors might make the most sense to lean into well before we started to design anything. Even when you're trying to choose between really great options, it's incredibly helpful to follow each of these secrets to streamline your decision making.
Here's one again.
Oh, I think that's the one. At this point, you should have a better roadmap for how to get there, but it doesn't mean you're ready to get started yet, because your next step is to watch this video to determine if you're even ready to rebrand this year, and 4 reasons to drive that decision home. I'll see you over there.